I was recently given a request to speak about Mercury in the eighth house. Um, I would obviously know a lot about this because I have this Mercury in the eighth house, and it's in Gemini. I have a very light-hearted approach to astrology and all matters of the eighth house and the occult. And when I was younger, um, was very into um, punk rock and the goth kind of world. And I find this very common in people with prominent eighth house. They're very interested in what's underground, what's hidden, what's like kind of like, you know, not something that people would normally talk about. And I feel that it's my purpose, like life purpose now, to speak about things that make people really uncomfortable. Because my Mercury is in Gemini, and it's not only in the eighth house, but it's also opposing Saturn and Uranus, and squaring my Mars, and it's in a T square, and that T square is totally like feeling like it's about to explode right now. Due to Uranus squaring my Sun, it's just so much energy, and I would say that you know I've noticed from a lot of people I talk to who have prominent eighth house energy, is with Mercury here, the thought process can often go really into a negative spot if we don't really try really hard to control that aspect of ourselves, especially if Mercury is afflicted, like opposing an outer a square. It's just, you have to be really careful in this house, what you say, how you say it, and well, especially for me, with this T square. I've had a long history of my thoughts and ideas and stuff being silenced. This opposition with Saturn, and this square with Mars, and it's just like, it's like anything I say, I'm like walking on eggshells. It's super intense, and I kind of just have to like deal with it, and so I'm trying to use it constructively, and astrology has always been a way in which I could use this energy constructively. So I find that many people, who have Mercury in the eighth house, want to discover more about themselves. It's a very deep place, and we want to kind of like go further into the deeper aspects of human nature, and eighth. I've noticed that a lot of people who have eighth house, prominent eighth house, especially Mercury here, I feel that we are here to talk about what's uncomfortable. And I've seen prominent eighth house energy in a lot of people who are social workers, people who work with others, and Venus in this house too is great for this, helping other people come into better understandings of themselves. So this is great for psychology. I've actually felt like I should go further into psychology, because it's so interesting to me how the mind works, and how people, what makes people tick and everything. And the eighth house is all about that. It's all about how you, Mercury in the eighth house is all about how you think about matters of death, and also finances, and the eighth house. I feel that the eighth house is about money, and material possessions, and definitely like support systems. So I actually think the eighth house is great. Many people say, "Ooh, the eighth house is so challenging," but if you have a greater understanding of astrology, your eighth house is great. Your eighth house is where you have power and control over your life. At least in my chart, this is how I feel. These Gemini planets in the eighth house are just great for kind of like finding my way around stuff, and meandering my way around life, trying to figure it all out. People say you think too much, you talk too much, you do this too much, do that too much, and I'm starting to just be like, fuck you, I am myself, I'm going to speak my mind. If you don't like it, I don't care. And I kind of, I guess, have to do that. With this T-square, it's like there's so many challenges here and there, but Mercury has to just be Mercury. It can't be silenced. And in this house, I see a lot of people with Mercury in the 8th house. They want to speak the truth. They wanna tell you how it is, and if you don't like that, it's like, well, you know, we have, it's like my mission, you know, to speak about this stuff. And being in an environment in which you are silenced, it is not necessarily, you know, supportive. And the 8th house, you know, you need support. So, like I said, I've seen a lot of people with Mercury in the 8th house become psychologists, like get into the social work, it's like social working, or I don't know how to say that right, but it's a powerhouse in the sense that you can get your support and you can get your material, you can get your material possessions, and I'm getting a little distracted due to, you know, outside noises. Mercury in the 8th house. Moving on. I feel that the 8th house brings up a lot of uncomfortable situations, and that you kind of, and my Mercury in Gemini has to like think its way out of the situation. Kind of need some time. I think a lot of 8th house Mercury people need some time alone to recharge from all of the experiences that they have. In fact, most Mercury in the 8th house people enjoy being alone on some level, like to have their privacy, a certain amount of personal privacy, to be able to kind of just dig deep into the darkness. But I'm kind of coming out of that now, because it was not really so much helpful to me in learning about the world, and I think it's best, you know, for some 8th house people to just step out of their comfort zone, and 8th house Mercury to be specific, just step out of your comfort zone and dig deeper. But sometimes digging deeper, you know, means like stepping out of the bubble and going into the real world, and meeting real people who are like-minded. I think Mercury and the 8th house people especially need that. They're kind of like 8th house support network, so to speak. So anyway, I think that Mercury in the 8th house is very helpful in speaking about those things that make people uncomfortable to talk about. I think that our mission here is to actually just, no matter what the cost, speak about pain and abuse. I noticed a lot of abuse going on, and inequality in this house, messed up family situations, just overall inequality. I would say that the 8th house is kind of picks up where the 7th house leaves off in terms of, like, you know, equality. But the 8th house, you know, is great for speaking your mind, to get people to really listen to you. If you use this constructively, and if you know, are able to step out of your comfort zone and just let it out. So I think that this is a great, 8th house Mercury is a great tool for astrology. And I know that many others that I've talked to with this placement are just very interested in discovering the truth about themselves or others. So Mercury in the 8th house people, you're not alone. I have this, many of my friends have this, and sometimes we experience a lot of nightmares, and a lot of night terrors, like waking up in the middle of the night, the mind feeling kind of like tormented, and I think that this is a great thing for art. I've noticed a lot of artists with prominent 8th house energy, and as you can see, you know, I have this portrait of Nick Cave behind me. that I did, a month ago, and it's all in black, so to speak, and I also noticed a lot of people with Mercury in the 8th house very interested in like the kind of goth culture, kind of like punk culture or goth culture or anything that rules underground, and this is the story I see with the 8th house. Kind of like walking into a dark alley, and you meet Joe, and Joe's got the drugs, and I mean that's kind of a dark way of looking at it, but that is like the 8th house kind of rules underground, black market money situations, and having to kind of like think your way out of a tough situation, and it seems like us 8th house people are constantly in situations that involve some kind of like compromise or inequality with the people that we're around. I don't know. This is just what I experienced as an 8th house Mercury. Lots of nightmares, lots of intense thought process. Have to speak about it, write about it. Mercury in the 8th house people are wonderful writers and wonderful poets and wonderful artists. So love your Mercury in the 8th house. You can think your way out of anything. Seriously.